Huge thank you to CIBC for making We Get It possible. Hi, welcome to a new episode of We Get It. My name is Kirsten. I'm the program director with Young Adult Cancer Canada. Thank you for joining us for this new episode. This season, we've actually changed things up a little bit, as you will notice. We will bring you every week, every Monday night, 7 p.m., we will bring you sessions that we have recorded and edited from our past events, sessions that are with amazing health professionals and friends across the country, some stories from YACCers as well. And we will talk about issues that are, we know, real things and real issues for the young adults we work with, and for topics like fear of cancer recurrence, body image, movement and exercise, mindfulness, legacy, palliative care. We are going to touch on a bunch of content. So we hope that those sessions are going to provide you with information and tools to help you live life and love life, and hope you get to join us every week and share with anyone who could be interested. So let's start now with this next episode of We Get It. Enjoy.
Hi, my name's Kirsten. I'm 33 years old from Toronto, Ontario, and I am a 3-time cancer survivor. This is my story. When you Google cancer, this is the first image that comes up. A cell, a shitty cell, not what I think of when I think of cancer. I've had 23 years worth of that word. Cancer. 6 letters, 1 word, but hundreds of variations. I've personally watched that word change and grow over the last 23 years. However, no amount of research, promotion, advocacy, education, and public awareness has changed it. People, both those diagnosed and those who have never had to worry about it a day in their lives, and everyone in between, still fear hearing that word, cancer. We can scare 7 billion people with 6 letters. The word cancer still invokes the same fear as it did 60 years ago. My journey begins August of 1998. I was living just as every other 10-year-old was, going to school, active in sports, and playing with friends. However, I started to experience some lower back pain after activity. This soon turned to extreme lethargy, bruising, nosebleeds, and severe back pain. Blood work was done by my family doctor, and the next day I was sent to sick kids. November 21st, 1998, at 10 years old, 1 month shy of my 11th birthday, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or ALL. I had the good type of cancer. It was cured easily. However, I was high risk, but only because of my age, which meant more intense chemo. However, cranial radiation was avoided. Therapy started November 1998 and ended 3 years later, November 2001. November 15th, 2002, I started experiencing the same symptoms as my first diagnosis, and after a bone marrow biopsy, I was confirmed relapsed with ALL. This time, 1 month before my 15th birthday. I was admitted for more intense chemo, this time with cranial radiation. A bone marrow transplant was not being ruled out. I also struggled greatly with this protocol, developing gallstones, more back pain, and leg pain, which made it harder to walk. Therapy ended August of 2004, but the team realized an error was made, and 3 months later, I was put back on treatment for another year, until August of 2005. Doctors noted I was hesitant to restart therapy, as I was beginning to feel better. And with coaxing, I agreed. That's right, they wrote coaxing. After finishing treatment in 2005, I spent 5 years figuring out what next. I worked mainly in retail, learning skills that I didn't learn as a child or teen. Actually, more realistically, couldn't learn. Then one moment, a light bulb went off, and I knew I needed to go back to school. I did a 1-year college program to help me figure out what subjects I liked and was good at. I then undertook a 4-year undergraduate degree in medical sciences. To say this was a struggle is an understatement, even with academic accommodations. I completed this successfully. However, I could not find a job in my field. So I went back to college for fitness leadership while working in the trades. When suddenly in October 2015, I developed a canker on my tongue that would not go away. I went to the doctor, who told me to go to the dentist, who told me to go to my oral surgeon. That I did, and he told me I had lichen planus. At this point, I believe I was in denial about everything. I didn't want to recognize that my cancer had come back as an adult. We did 2 rounds of steroid treatment and nothing worked, so we did a biopsy. In retrospect, I should have pushed harder for the biopsy first, but I knew that in medicine, you always start off with the least invasive procedure. In January of 2016, I received a phone call at school. I was told I had squamous cell carcinoma, and that it wasn't a big deal. It would just be cut off like skin cancer. Boy, was he wrong. Turns out it was way more than that. My team did a partial glossectomy and neck dissection. They took out 48 lymph nodes, and if any were positive, it was treatment bound for me. This time, however, I had a plan. I was more open with my diagnosis and prognosis, which led to family and friends stepping in to help even before I had a confirmed treatment plan. However, I wasn't sure I wanted treatment. This time around, it was my decision. My family, friends, and parents had a vested interest in keeping me alive. However, they didn't realize the toll treatment takes on my body. My body didn't want to do it again. After surgery, I spent 4 days in the hospital, took a total of 2 weeks off school and work, and went back. About 1 month after my surgery, I received the results. The tension in the room that day was real. The doctor spoke. T2 N0, or stage 2, no lymph nodes. The tension suddenly lifted, and one of the biggest decisions of my life was suddenly made for me. No treatment. I completed my certificate in fitness and then went on to complete my master's in public health, and I'm currently working in pediatric oncology. I did eventually send a letter to the doctor who told me my cancer was no big deal, but I never did hear back from him. Although my childhood and adult experiences differed in what I missed and what I gained, there are many similarities between these 2 groups. We all struggle with cognitive impairments. Memory loss and brain fog is real. Relationships, friendships, and other relationships can become strained. Fertility. We don't often get offered fertility options as children, many times because cancer occurs before we reach puberty. Stress, anxiety and depression, fear of recurrence, acceptance of disease and its side effects, and what's next. We both don't know what's next. No cancer, more cancer, other effects of our bones, hearts, or brains. Finding a community we fit into is hard. Childhood cancer survivors are not very different from AYAs. In fact, we are very much the same. What I missed as a child was very different than what I missed as an adult. Friends, milestones, school, specifically grades 6, 10, and half of grade 11, extracurricular activities, puberty, parties, teenage years. However, because I kept my cancer quiet, and I did not want anyone to know as a child, I became even more isolated. I was shy, unsure. My parents kept me in a bubble. I was bullied and teased, so I kept even more quiet. It took me almost 10 years post-treatment to be able to say I had cancer and be okay with it. However, external people played a big part in my life as to how I shared my cancer and my willingness to share my cancer. When I was diagnosed at 26 years old, I made the decision early to share and share boldly. I worked until the day before my surgery and announced in a staff meeting that I was going in for surgery to remove a cancerous tumor. Sharing opened up a whole new world for me, one in which more people were involved in my care. I had a plan even though I didn't have a diagnosis. Thankfully, none of this was needed, but it made my journey easier, and the people were more understanding and more compassionate. Let's be real, both my cancers are random. I had no family history. I was an active, healthy child who ate right. I was also not at risk for oral cancer. I did not smoke, drink, or chew betel nut. There was no genetic factors. However, some doctors suspect that the cranial radiation I received as a child could play a factor, but because it was such a low dose, that can't even be confirmed. As a child, my parents heard everything from, you should try barley green, to stop feeding your kid hot dogs. And even, well, I wonder whose side of the family that came from. But by the time I was an adult, I didn't want to hear any of this. No, I won't try kale, urine therapy, or just thinking it'll go away. I can promise you, these won't work. Although I like to think I'm a relatively well-adjusted adult given my childhood experiences, I know some YACCers would disagree. What I struggle with now is relationships, trust, sleep, and life outside of cancer. As someone who has been dealing with cancer for over 23 years, I wonder, who am I when all I have known is cancer? 6 letters, 1 word, hundreds of variations. This is what I think of when I think of cancer.